Why, hello there. Welcome back to Mystery for Two podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Jack.
And Jack got his hair cut just for you guys.
Special occasion.
If you're watching on YouTube, just know.
Well, episode 3 came and I was just like, it's time for a cut.
Jack has a fresh cut.
Fresh fade.
We're trying to dress up for you guys because I feel like we're in the courting phase right now. Do you feel that way?
Me and you?
No, not us, but like us with the listeners, with the viewers.
Oh, I was about to say, me and you, we're long gone.
No, but we're in the courting phase with you guys because like we're trying to be...
we're still on our best behavior.
Exactly. But like, you know, when you're like starting to date someone, you like the first few dates, you're like really still trying to suss each other out and you're putting on like your best clothes. You're bringing out your best stories. I mean, that's not entirely true because I feel like the stories are just going to get better from here on out, but we definitely are dressing up for you guys. So this might not last. I just want to say that. Like, I feel
I'll
like...
be in a hoodie come episode 10.
No, I'm more like episode 100. Like, what are we going to look like in episode 100? I don't know.
I might grow a beard.
Okay. Interesting.
If I could.
Interesting.
I get patchy.
Yeah, Jack gets a little patchy. If you guys have beard growing tips...
Well, I know there's oils and such I can get, but I also don't think I would... Like, I would like to be able to grow a full beard, but I like being relatively clean shaven. Look smart, play smart, is what I was told as a young kid growing up playing soccer.
I love it. So, anyway, episode 3, here we go. Today's story is really interesting. It involves a bit of murder. I'm just going to say this now up front, letting you guys know so you can emotionally prepare for that because it is sad. Things get a little dark, but the story starts with buried treasure. And the story also ends with buried treasure. So we get double buried treasure today, which is fun, but it is a bumpy ride throughout the story. So just
a roller coaster.
A roller coaster. Make sure your hands and feet are inside the vehicle at all times. Jack, are you ready?
Are we tall enough to ride?
I don't know.
Did you ever have that?
Yes, of course. So Jack, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So, to kick things off, I truthfully don't know all that much about what goes on in a construction worker's day-to-day, and I'm not going to pretend like I do know, because I know that their jobs are essential. I know they require a lot of skill. I know they sometimes have pretty crazy hours, but other than that, I don't really know too much. But one thing I do know is that finding buried treasure can sometimes be a part of their job. The mysterious tale I'm about to tell you today has to do with a group of construction workers out in Jackson, Tennessee.
Tennessee?
Have you been there? Jackson, Tennessee?
I might have driven through. I mean, I went to college in Tennessee.
It's between, halfway between Memphis and Nashville. If you guys didn't know, Jack went to college in Tennessee.
Yeah, no, I kicked a soccer ball around or tried to. I sat on the bench more than kicked the ball, probably, but...
No, you scored a lot of goals.
Kicked the ball for 4 years. I wasn't like a young kid growing up in England saying I want to move to Tennessee. That wasn't really on the agenda or the 5-year plan. But, yeah, they offered me a scholarship and my parents said, well, I guess you're going to Tennessee, Jack. Well, Kentucky first, and then a few other opportunities came up. But, yeah, Johnson City, Tennessee.
So Jackson is known as the Hub City, which is a nod to its history as a railroad town. It's September 13th, 1985, and a group of city construction workers are building a municipal parking lot. So a parking lot for the official city buildings in town, one of those like public parking lots. And a man named Buddy Crick was the supervisor of the construction crew that day. And Buddy said that the day started out like any other as he supervised his crew. He said he was operating a backhoe, which is a tractor-like machine, when a crew member stopped him and showed him something that at first glance, Buddy thought was a parking token or something like that. And I didn't know what a parking token is, or was rather. Do you know what a parking token is?
Like a slip to be able to park?
Yeah, well,
so you don't get towed or something like that?
Right. Essentially, it's like a typical coin that you would insert into like a parking meter, but it's like a special coin that technically isn't like monetary in the sense that they look like coins, they work like coins, but they're usually handed out by the parking lot, the city, or a local business to cover a set amount of parking time.
Right.
So it would essentially make sure that you don't get towed. So Buddy was looking at this coin and thought, oh, it's a parking token, potentially kind of old, but he wasn't sure. He stepped off his machine, and as he was looking down at the coin, Buddy glanced over and saw something else gleaming in the dirt. It was another coin. He said he walked over and picked it up and, quote, "The rest is history." There was apparently a glass jar filled with coins discovered as well, and in total, there were roughly 500 to 800 coins recovered, some sources say. So a lot of coins, and this is all in the dirt, underground, where they were about to build this parking lot right on top. And the collector's value of the entire hoard found was worth around, would you like to guess? What are you thinking?
I'm going to, a shot in the dark, $100,000.
Definitely a lot more than that, but good guess.
I mean, that's a good find.
That's a good, I mean, hey, 10,000 would be a good find.
Yeah.
1,000 would be a good find. $1 million is how much this hoard, which is like the entirety of all the coins that were discovered.
So it was just real gold or something like that?
So these weren't recent coins. They weren't typical nickels and dimes and things like that. They were old and worth a lot of money because of that. So one example coin that was found is called an 1856 D quarter eagle. And this one was very,
that sounds
very
like
rare.
an NFL route.
What does it sound like?
What did you call it?
An 1856 D quarter eagle.
That literally sounds like something that like the quarterback might yell before they run a play in the NFL. Tom Brady-esque.
I wouldn't know the first thing about that.
1954 quarter eagle drop back hike.
My only experience with participating in football, in the sense that like I would be privy to that information, was powder puff back in the day, and I was not good. So
sorry, continue.
Anyway, so 1856 D quarter eagle. This is a very rare coin, and just this one coin alone can be worth over $80,000 today.
Wow.
So yeah, that's just one of them.
It's like a Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's just one of the coins that was discovered in this 500 to 800 coin hoard. So naturally, after they discovered these, several of the construction workers stealthily slipped some coins into their pockets.
I bet they did.
And took them away from the site. A few of them ran for the banks, the jewelry stores, and to gold purchasers to cash in. And one of them even traded some coins for a car.
Wow.
Great day for him. After the initial discovery, a frenzy was ignited, and people came back to the site of the parking lot build at night with metal detectors looking to find some more. This cache of gold coins ended up being referred to as the Jackson, Tennessee hoard. And of course, the city took the people who pocketed the coins and sold them to court, saying that the city owns the property and therefore owns the coins. Yada, yada, yada.
Took them to court.
But ultimately, the courts decided in the favor of the workers.
What's that phrase?
They found them.
Finders keepers, losers weepers.
Indeed.
I mean, that doesn't go out of fashion.
I mean, they must have had the best day of their life when that verdict was read. Like, oh yeah, you get to keep them.
Like, especially if you've got the gold, you've sold it, you've spent it, and then all of a sudden,
yeah,
your own town is then coming for you.
Yeah, you're like, I get to keep the car. Amazing.
It sounds like an episode of Parks and Rec.
It really
does. At the moment.
It really does. I love Parks and Rec. Anyway, so after that, a lot of the workers ended up legally selling them to a man named William Cummings, who is a local coin expert and collector in town. He even has his own store called Cummings Rare Coins, and he's learned a lot about this hoard since it happened. So, reminder, this happened in the 80s. Cummings and a lot of others in town believed that the coins found by the construction workers are actually linked to a murder that took place 165 years ago. And this might answer the very mysterious question, who buried these coins and why? So there are a couple theories that we're going to discuss and decide how we feel, okay? 2 theories.
Okay.
We're going to decide, you guys and us, which one we think is the true theory.
And is one of them, are they just theories? Or is one like
You're about to find
legit?
out. You're about to find out. So theory number 1, as far as what the gold coins were doing there, is that they were simply buried during the Civil War in order to hide them from the advancing Union Army. Some sources say that a plantation owner named John Woolfolk died shortly before the start of the Civil War and left his entire fortune to his widow, who was maybe named Mildred. Yeah.
Maybe Mildred.
I'm saying maybe Mildred because I saw some sources saying that her name was Mildred, and there were some that like couldn't verify that. So we're going to say maybe Mildred. So in June of 1864, Mildred buried the coins in order to hide them from the Union Army. And she showed her daughter the hiding spot just in case. But then Mildred died before she was able to dig up the coins, dig them back up, and the daughter moved away, forgetting about them altogether, perhaps. Years later, so the story goes, the daughter returns to dig up the coins, but she forgot where the hiding spot was and couldn't find them.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I was about to say, but surely maybe Mildred, if that is her name.
If that is her real name.
Surely she would have told her daughter, because when you were first saying that, the daughter just to skip town. And I mean, maybe you're in a rush, the Civil War's happening, like...
Yeah, who knows what was going on in daughter of Mildred's life.
Maybe Mildred.
But maybe Mildred had a daughter who forgot the hiding spot, and
if
so there
my
they were.
mother tells me there's buried treasure at my house, I'm staying put.
So that was theory number one about why the hoard was buried and then forgotten about. Because surely if someone buries something like that, like they're going to want to go back for their treasure, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
for sure.
either they're dead or they forgot about it. Like those are really the only reasonable.
Because it's basically an inheritance if your parents.
Exactly. So here is theory number two, which is a bit more built out than the first. It's a bit longer, so strap in. And it involves a murder and a bank robbery. So it's the morning of February the 4th, 1859. So we've gone back in time a considerable amount. And Jackson, Tennessee residents are just starting their day. The day starts out like any other for the townspeople, but then it turns dark as they discover that a horrific crime had taken place just the evening before. Thieves had robbed the local branch of the Union Bank of Tennessee and stolen $17,300 in paper currency and $5,700 in gold coins. Today, that would be about $700,000 in paper currency and $203,000 in gold coins, considering their face value back then. So this was a tragedy for the town. But to make matters even worse, they discovered that someone was killed in the process.
Oh, like one of the workers.
Mr. George E. Miller, the 28-year-old bank clerk, was found dead.
That sucks.
The night before, George Miller had left work at the bank and walked just next door to his room, which adjoined the bank. Can you imagine living that close to your office? Like you're having a stressful day at the bank and then you can't even really go too far to get away from it?
Talk about work from home.
Talk about work from home in the 1850s.
I don't think they had Zoom or Microsoft Teams in the 50s.
Probably hard for him to call out sick, huh? So George Miller, yeah, his room was right next to the bank, and he went in there, went to bed, presumably. But the next morning, George was a no-show at work, which was highly unusual, according to his friends. And the New York Times reported that his friends they then checked on George. They went to his room, they forced down the door because it was locked, and found his coat and hat, which was peculiar. They went through the door, which led into the bank, and found him murdered in the most shocking manner. It appears that George had opened the vault and was in the process of writing a check when he was killed. There was still a pen grasped in his hand. The murder weapon was a hammer that George had used during his work, and it was smashed into his skull twice, the coroner said.
Damn.
Which is so sad. Like,
it's crazy that it sounds as if they've opened the vault. Well, he's opened the vault.
Yeah, George opened the vault.
Because usually I was imagining him, George, being like a hero in the sense of refusing to help, refusing to, aid them in the robbery. Mm-hmm. And, the robbers getting annoyed and threatening. Yeah. So I've watched enough of these things where, a lot of these robbers, they don't want to kill. They just want the money and get out.
Right.
So
but if they have to, they will.
But
if someone's in their way.
But he opened the vault and he was writing them a check.
So what if he didn't know that they were getting robbed? What if he trusted the person? So we'll get to that.
You got me.
We'll get to that. But George, it's extremely sad what happened to him. Like, he was 28, had the whole rest of his life to live, and was killed over money. And while at work, no less, like such a tragedy. So in the process of this, coins were stolen. But how do we know that these are the same coins that were found by the construction workers hundreds of years later? Well, some of the coins found in the parking lot were very rare and unusual in a very important way. These coins are unlikely to have been in circulation, meaning that they likely weren't used by normal day-to-day people paying for their groceries and normal transactions like that. Like a lot of people wouldn't have had their hands on these coins. They're very special and usually limited to bank transactions. So maybe transferring money from one bank to another, kind of staying within the bank circuit, if that makes sense. Hence why experts think that they must have originated or were taken from a bank.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, none of the coins found are from any of the years after the robbery. Only the years right before.
Well, that's either a giveaway or an almighty coincidence.
This is a big indication that they could be from the robbery and not from the Civil War when Mildred, I almost called her Mary. That could have been her name.
Maybe Mildred.
Maybe Mildred.
Maybe Mary.
Maybe marry me.
I can't even speak.
Maybe Mary. So, yeah, they could be, or it's likely that they could be from this robbery and not from the Civil War when Mildred buried the coins and the daughter couldn't find them theory, since the Civil War happened in the 1860s, 10 years after the robbery.
Right.
So like I said, none of the coins found are from the years after the robbery. So back when this was investigated in the 1850s, townspeople who knew George Miller said that he went to the bank with, quote, someone in whom he had the greatest confidence, for he was a cautious and prudent man. So he was a rule follower, and he also, I'll get to that. The Daily Chronicle and Sentinel said that whomever George was doing business with was done after bank hours. So it must have been someone with high standing that had like a lot of money in the bank, or that George was, regularly doing business with. Otherwise, George would have turned them away and said, come back tomorrow. So he didn't, as we thought, go straight to bed. He went back to work at some point. But of course, this was pre any sort of security camera. Yeah. I don't even think a horse could have seen him. Like, it was pitch black. Yeah. So presumably George was with someone that he trusted, someone either close to him or that held high standing in town. You might wonder, what was the site of the parking lot before? Did someone live there? Who lived there? Like, that might give us the answer, because like presumably whoever, like the robber or the person that killed George and stole the coins would have maybe buried them in their backyard, right? Like, people do that.
Yeah, it'd be odd to bury it in a random...
Yeah, because you want to keep tabs.
Yeah.
You want to keep an eye on like where you're burying your treasure. So I wanted to look into who lived or who owned the land of the parking lot before it was surrendered or sold to the city. So there isn't anything official that I found to link any one person to the now public property where they've built the parking lot. It actually is there today. I found that the parking lot was built. So now I want to go visit.
So they finished the project.
I want to go look at it. But a man named John Danreuther, a highly respected coin expert, dealer, and counterfeit identifying master and author, so he's like a coin guy, had some thoughts on the Tennessee. Huge coin guy. He had some thoughts on the Tennessee hoard. He said this back in the 90s. I found this very compelling blog about it. And he said, quote, I should have told you what I knew about the hoard in Jackson, Tennessee. There is much more to the story. The site was on municipal property and was at a place where the president of a Jackson bank had lived back in the 1850s. A president
So we think it might be
of a Jackson bank.
Inside job.
So he continues, he said, I arrived in Jackson 4 days after the discovery in 1985 and was able to buy quite a few coins, but many had been sold before then. The mystery part is that in 1858, a bank in Jackson had been robbed, the cashier killed, and the robber ran off. It was presumed that he escaped to distant parts. The murder and theft was never solved, and the coins were never recovered. Now comes the information that the coins were found where the president of the same bank must have buried them. So this is this coin expert, John Danreuther's, his theory. So here's the thing, though. I really tried. I looked through so many records. I couldn't find any hard evidence that the bank president lived on that exact plot back in the 1850s. I did find in a really old New York Times article from 1859 that said that the bank president back then was called Mr. McKnight. That was his name. I couldn't find a first name. Probably was Jack. Just kidding. Just based on all of our other stories. Mr. McKnight. And the same article says that Mr. McKnight was away on business in Memphis during the murder.
Sounds like an alibi to me.
And hadn't returned yet. So he likely wasn't the culprit unless he got someone else to do his dirty work, or maybe he wasn't away at all. Who knows? Still so sad that they never caught who did it, who done it back in the day. And like poor George's family just never knew.
We need justice for George.
Never knew. Justice for George. Seriously. He was clearly like doing his job. It's really crazy because he seems like the kind of guy that like would have, I mean, we of course don't know what happened, but like you said, a lot of bank robbers like don't need to kill anyone. They just take what they need and go. Like they have a disguise on usually. They can't be detected. They take what they need, their money, and go and don't kill people. Like not always. So it's kind of sad that that's not how this went, and George had to die.
If that is the right theory, and it's someone George knew, this person probably wasn't even masked because that would have set George off.
True, that is true.
George sounds like the kind of guy that would have pressed the button under the desk if they existed in the 50s.
That's true.
Probably didn't. But.
So very unfortunate, but anyway, so. Even if we're kind of leaning towards theory number 2, that the coins were in fact from the robbery, we still don't know who did it. Or, you know, if only modern forensics existed back then, they could like pull fingerprints off the hammer or something like that. So may George rest in peace. And if his ghost feels like it, maybe he can let us know who did it. I'm waiting for a sign.
Only 2 people know.
I'm waiting for a sign. And they're both dead.
Damn.
So yeah, let us know which theory you guys are leaning towards. Theory 1 with Mildred and the Civil War, or theory 2 with George, justice for George and the bank robbery and a mysterious suspect that could be the president of the bank. Mr. McKnight could not be him because he did have an alibi that was printed in the newspaper, but like, who knows if that's even true. Let us know which one you think. Which one are you leaning towards, Jack?
Oh, I'm leaning towards 2.
Yeah, theory 2. I had a feeling. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And like, I don't know. I like to think that like George is like giggling in heaven, like, oh, they found the coins in the parking lot. Ooh.
George is like, finally.
They're getting in there with metal detectors and they're gonna, yeah, I don't know. I like to think that maybe he found that interesting. But while we're on the subject of buried treasure, I was wondering if it would be okay if I share one more story about coins. What do you think? Are you sick of me saying the word coins at this point in our story? Yes or no?
Never.
You know when you say a word a lot of times and it just like doesn't sound right?
Coins.
It like feels weird in my mouth. I can't say it again. So this story that I'm about to share, the last story of this episode, honestly might be a bigger mystery than the first one. So I think we dive in. So I want you to imagine that you own a large property out in California. Sounds nice. So you have like
Sounds very nice.
Your house and then acres and acres of land. Imagine you have walking trails and such. Like your land is so large that you have walking trails where you can enjoy nature literally in your own backyard. Well, for one couple back in 2013, this was reality. This was their day-to-day. And one day when they were out walking their dog on one of the walking paths on their property, it was a path that they walked frequently, actually. One day on their usual dog walk, the couple came across something peculiar sticking out of the ground. What do you think they saw?
I'm going to hazard a guess to say they found some coins.
They spotted the rusty top of a metal can. Curious about what could be inside, they dug the can out with a stick and took it home. But they noticed when they got it up out of the ground that it was really heavy. And they thought at first that it could be a paint can, perhaps filled with lead paint. Once they got it home, they popped the lid off, and what they found inside was not lead paint. It was filled with a lot of dirt, and right at the bottom, they noticed a glimmer of something gold within the dirt. Gold coins. So yes, you were correct. They started to remove the coins and stack what turned out to be Liberty Head gold coins from the 1890s. So these were some old coins. So naturally, they... Jack's stomach.
My stomach just growled.
Did you hear that? So naturally, the couple heads back out onto the trail, an area they call Saddle Ridge, and dug around the area a bit more just to make sure they hadn't missed anything else buried underground. So it's very similar to how...
Oh, I'd have had my dog out there sniffing.
Well, I don't know about that. I'd have like a metal detector. Like I would go to the hardware store and...
Are we going to be that couple in Marolda walking on the beach with a metal detector?
1000%. Like I want to get one tomorrow. Like I feel like all of these stories point to one thing.
Okay.
Katie needs a metal detector.
That's a good birthday/Christmas present.
Yeah, how about you
Not this year. I don't think we're in our metal detecting era yet.
speak for yourself?
But-
I'm about to order one on Amazon right now. Anyway, so the couple goes back and they are poking around trying to see if they could find anything else buried underground. They immediately found another can about a foot to the left of where they'd found the first one. And then they found 5 more smaller cans.
Wow. Haul.
So they found a lot of cans. And then they brought out the big guns, a metal detector, and found 1 more coin.
Oh.
Okay, I wrote 1 more coin, but I'm wondering if I meant to say 1 more can. A lot of coins on the brain when I was writing this.
Check this.
I'll have to fact check myself, but either 1 more can or 1 more coin. They found a lot of coins, okay? TLDR, they found a lot of coins. Okay, they found 8 cans. Wait, let me do the math. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they found 1 more can. So they found not 1 more coin. A lot of coins inside of the 8th can. So they found 8 cans total. And they contained a total of 1,000. Am I okay? I'm glitching.
Math is Katie's strong point, as we can all tell.
1,427 gold coins. Most of them.
Can you divide that by the 8 cans, please?
Absolutely not. No, I refuse. I will not be doing that. You don't get that out of me. So most of them, of those 1,427 gold coins, 1,373 of them, to be precise, were $20 coins. 50 were $10 coins, and 4 were $5 coins. So these were like things people used back in the day.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I need to like really look through the coins when I go to like the antique and thrift stores. I feel like they have coin sections and I never look at them. Like I should look at them because they might have things like this in there.
Yeah, they're always... Well, I've seen it on both Antiques Roadshow. There'll be... People will bring their coin collection. And then, yeah, in all the antique stores, we go up and down the country visiting.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen like locked eyes with a $20 coin. You know? Like I'd be interested. I mean, I'm going to definitely put images on the screen if you're watching on YouTube of what these things look like. But anyway, so most of the coins were minted in San Francisco, and one of the $5 coins was minted in Georgia. They date to between 1847 and 1894 and were grouped in approximate chronological order by whoever had buried them.
Very organized.
In the coins. All the 1840s and 1850s coins were in the first can, and the rest by date in subsequent cans.
Maybe they were like a librarian of some sort.
So a type A collector, my kind of person. I love it. The way the coins were buried in the ground at varying depths and the varying conditions of the cans, some with more rust than others, suggests that they were buried by someone over the course of years rather than all at once. The total face value of the coins is $27,980. And when I say face value, that's like if you just look at the number on the coin, like $20 plus.
I'm sure they're worth more than that.
Yeah, so that's just the face
collector,
value, which is, it's insane that is the face value.
Yeah.
And it's so high. Like this doesn't take into account how much value the old coins hold now since they're so unique. Sorry, since they're so antique. Well, I guess unique to the times now, but they're antique. Are you ready to hear just how much they're valued at today?
So it was
Would you like to guess?
27,000.
Yeah, 27,980 is just the total face value of the coins.
I'm going to go with 250,000.
Okay. So in 2014, when they were valued at $10 million.
Excuse me?
$10 million.
For some coins.
Like, I can't even grasp that.
Okay, maybe we will, or maybe I will buy the metal detector for you this Christmas. I could do, I don't know about you guys, but I could do the 10 million ASAP.
I mean, how much do metal detectors cost in the grand scheme of like
10 million? Were these like old King's coins or something?
And this was in 2014. $10 million in 2014. So that was, 11 years ago.
Yeah, tell me more about these coins.
So this makes the Tennessee hoard that I talked about in the top of the story
pale in
comparison.
Pale, that's
pale.
I'm losing my damn mind.
Pale in comparison. That one was 1 million, if you remember. And this one in California is 10 million. So both are a lot of money, mind you, but $10 million, like I can't fathom holding anything that valuable, let alone in a paint can. Like,
out walking your dog.
Out walking your dog on your property.
Do you know what sounds just kind of frustrating about this? This is a couple that you said in 2014 they've got a bunch of land. They probably don't need the 10 million. So it just annoys me that they've just stumbled into, I don't know why, but I'm making the guy, if there is a guy involved in this, his name is Jasper for whatever reason. Jasper. Come see these paint cans we've just found. We've just found another 10 million.
I mean, yeah, that did cross my mind, but like I wish it was like someone less fortunate that had found them, like stumbled across them. But I did think, I'm like, that must have been the craziest day of their life, discovering like, oh, there's another one, and then
there's another 2 million,
and not realizing they're like thinking, oh, this is 27,000 or whatever the number, 27,980. Like they probably were like, holy F, like that's enough money, to send our kids to, I don't know, daycare.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was going to say college, not
in
anymore.
In today's environment.
Not anymore.
Today's economy.
Anyway, so that was probably a great day for them, but let's continue. So $10 million. As of this recording, the dog walking couple's find is the largest gold coin hoard in U.S. history. And by the way, Jasper and whatever the woman's name is, they don't want their identities known.
I don't blame them.
So they just go by John and Mary in the papers, but those aren't
John Doe.
Their real names. They just go by that because naturally, understandably, they don't want
it's like
people to know.
It's literally like winning the lottery, and some people will say, like, honestly, for your own sake, like, don't come forward. Well, come forward and claim your winnings, but you don't want necessarily friends and the weird
people treating you differently.
Family member we all have come out of nowhere.
People coming out of the woodworks to be like, so remember that one weekend we spent together? Like, okay, I'm gonna cash in now. Yeah. People
get really entitled. If one of my boys wins the lottery, I mean, give me 3 beers, me and my guy friends, we basically have this conversation every time we're in a bar, and it's just there'd be signs.
There'd be signs, but like you don't tell people.
We're going on a golf trip, and it's all expenses paid, and if you can't make it, you're quitting your job because you don't need to worry about money.
Yeah, there would be signs. I love that trend on TikTok. It's like if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs.
What would be your first purchase? Not necessarily your first purchase. Say, I don't know, I've got to go out and get coffee in the morning because I would still need my morning coffee. But what would be your first crazy value purchase, do you think?
Okay, well, here's what I would do. I would first calculate how much money I actually get after taxes. And
That's what New York does to a person.
I would go
half, 50% gone.
Insane. I would go to CVS and I would get a notebook and I would get a nice pen and I would calculate. I'd get a calculator or I'd use my phone and I would calculate like how much I have and like I would figure out, like I would allocate funds for like different interests and things that I want, but also charity and like putting it into investments. Like I'd be very organized about it. Like that's me as a person. You'll come to find.
There's one of us that would be organized with it.
And then, I would do a lot of research on a private browser, what to do when you win the lottery, like to protect myself and my identity and my money.
Well, don't they say, sorry to cut you off, but don't they say that the first call you should make after winning the lottery is to a lawyer? Yep.
I've never heard that, but now I know, and that's going to go in my notebook one day.
A lawyer that should then, if they're a good lawyer, they can do it themselves, but if not, the good lawyer should also then know a very good financial advisor and...
Yeah, something like that. Because I honestly am also afraid of hackers. Like, I feel like hackers like will eventually have the ability to figure out who wins the lottery, like hack into the system of like who finds out. Like, they'll find out the winner and then like track people down and like harass them, stalk them. Like that, it really freaks me out.
You know what freaks me out, and it's relative, or it's kind of along the same lines of what we're talking about. Bitcoin, so coins, digital coins now compared to 100-year-old coins. There are stories that people know they have millions worth of Bitcoin, but they don't know the password to like their hard drive or whatever it is to get in to access it. There's thousands of stories like that.
So they forgot their password?
Basically,
that's what happened here?
Well, because for a long period of time, Bitcoin was worthless.
Right. So like people started the account.
Messed around. They played with Bitcoin for whatever reason, and they basically created an account, a wallet that they call it a wallet, and where you would store said Bitcoin, but it would be encrypted. It would be a password, password protected.
Right.
And people did that. Left it alone, forgot about it for 15, 20 years. Basically like finding a treasure chest. All of a sudden Bitcoin skyrockets. And there's famous stories of people to this day still trying, they're like
locked
in legal
out.
disputes to try, because even if you can prove your identity, but if you don't have the key, you can't open the door.
Yeah, so
It's
I assume
crazy.
there isn't like a forgot password option that you can just click and then it'll send an email.
No, I think it's like you have that, but maybe you only get 3 tries, and if you get it wrong, you're permanently locked out, and the funds are frozen.
Oh, that would be so
there are people that go to bed every night
knowing that they have millions that are just locked away, just out of reach.
Could you imagine?
I can't imagine. But to answer your question, after the notebook, I would allocate funds, but one thing that I would buy just for me, well, and you, I guess you could also experience it, would be a brownstone in the West Village. I would die to have a brownstone in the West Village.
That'd be the 10 million gone.
With a rickety old staircase.
we wouldn't have any money left.
And a front stoop, and like I want like a classic New York City brownstone apartment. That would be where my funds would go. Hopefully I won a large lottery, like the billion lottery.
Yeah.
But I would give away a lot of it to charity, or like most if I was winning the $1 billion lottery. What about you? What would you?
I would buy my local football club, Swindon Town.
His soccer team.
They'd be getting bought
from home in his hometown.
Immediate effect, and we would take them to the Premier League within 5 years. I already have the 5-year plan.
Back to the story.
Yes.
So
we digress.
The dog walking couple's find is the largest gold coin hoard in U.S. history. So here's a question. What would you do if you discover the eight coin tins, or whatever you call them, paint cans filled with coins? What do you do next? Like, what do you do with them? Do you let people know that you have this gigantic amount of coins that are like super valuable? Like, what do you do?
Well, I mean, they found them, right? And then they went and got them valued. And then once you find out how valuable they are, I'm sure you invest in a pretty sturdy cage to lock them up in, or a safe of some sort.
They hadn't taken them to anyone. They discovered the coins. Here's what they did. They put them in plastic bags, and then put the plastic bags inside of an old cooler. Then they dug a hole under the wood pile and buried the cooler there. So they like had a wood pile out back. They dug a hole and buried the cooler with $10 million worth of gold coins inside.
It's like a dog in their bone.
So at this point, I will say they didn't know like the true value. They didn't know that 10 million figure. They just knew that they had these super old coins, and they were like, we're Googling, we're trying to figure this out. We think that they're super valuable, but then again, like, we don't know for sure. So they did a bit more research, and then 2 months later, they invited coin dealer Don Kagan and numismatic. I really struggle with that word. Numismatic it's the study of coins, metals, and paper money. So this numismatic expert named David McCarthy of Kagan's Inc. also came. So two experts came in to examine the hoard. They brought in the big guns. They looked at each of the coins and found an incredible wealth of rare coins in beautiful condition. One of the coins, an 1866 S. No. Motto Double Eagle, is estimated to be worth $1 million just on its own. That one coin, $1 million. I think people really underestimate the value of coins. Like they would look at a coin and a diamond on a table and think, oh, the diamond, of course, is going to be more valuable.
The diamond is like more shiny, right?
Right.
Or more sparkly.
Right. And some coins are like, not that pretty to the average Joe. And so you'd think, oh, the diamond's always going to be more valuable. Like if you had a choice between a seemingly normal but secretly $1 million coin and a cubic zirconia diamond, like it'd be kind of tricky, So here's something important about this hoard. So some of the coins that were found had never been circulated. So they'd never been released to the public and, used to pay for things. So people think that maybe they could be linked to a robbery as well.
Ooh.
In San Francisco Mint, or the San Francisco Mint, perhaps. And a mint, if you don't know what that is, I've been saying it a few times, like that's where they quite literally create coins. A mint is where coins are created. So it could have been the product of a robbery of the San Francisco Mint, because a lot of the coins, like I said, are from San Francisco. Or they could have been from an inside job, someone that worked at the mint, still a robbery, but like more of an inside job situation. However, the United States Mint spokesman, Adam Stump, issued this statement when he was contacted by ABC News about the hoard. He said, quote, "We don't have any information linking the Saddle Ridge hoard coins to any thefts at any United States Mint facility." However, Don Kagan, the coin dealer I mentioned earlier, has a different theory. He believes that the coins that the dog-walking couple found were stashed away over time, likely by someone working in the gold mines in the area. It was probably someone in the mining industry who was getting his bonuses and not trusting the banks. So he buried his money in cans underground.
Don't blame him.
Which I feel like, I have some relatives that definitely bury money.
For sure.
Like, there's always talks of not trusting the banks at like my my Thanksgiving gatherings. I think, that's something that people do. My money is in the bank, but this could have been what a miner did back in the day. But here's the next question. What did the couple do with the coins? Like I said, and like we've kind of deduced, they were already decently well off enough to own like such a crazy plot of land. So do you think they just like hung on to the coins, like put them on the wall or something, like keeping them for a rainy day?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they donated them to charity.
My next question was...
a museum, not charity, sorry.
Okay, that's a good theory. My next question was, are they even allowed to sell the coins? Because technically, like it's on their land, but they could be the product of a robbery.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
So it could be evidence.
Yeah. So, since the government...
this is America. It's their land.
This is America. Well, since the government said, like I said, that they weren't linked to any mint robbery that they knew of, the coins, seeing as that they were found on private property, belonged to the couple. So, here's what they did. They kept a few as family heirlooms, which I think is so understandable. Like, you would keep a few to like remember this crazy thing that happened, and then they sold the rest. And from the profits, they pocketed a lot of it, but they also donated quite a bit to local charities in the Northern California community. So you were partially right. The donation part was very nice, right? Like, we love that for them. John and Mary. So one last tidbit from the story. John and Mary, the couple that found the coins, they said that they discovered one more thing while they were walking on their property years ago. They found that there was also an unusual angular rock up the hill from where the coins were buried. John said, "We'd wonder what in the heck it was." What in the heck? I loved that. And then Mary said, "It wasn't until we made the find that we realized it might have been a marker. Starting at the rock, if you walk 10 paces towards the North Star, you wind up smack in the middle of the coins.
Huh. The miner.
Unlike maybe Mildred and her daughter, they had a marker.
Always have a marker.
Mysterious person who buried these coins. Like, what happened to the guy or girl that buried these coins? Like, the miner, if we're going with the gold mine, or the miner story, like, did he die? Like, what happened to him? Did he not tell anybody else about where he buried them?
Yeah, because you'd think he'd come and collect.
Maybe he didn't have any, maybe he died in like a tragic mine accident and had no family and didn't tell anybody. Maybe his family lived far away, because sometimes that happened. Like, they'd live far away and, you know, they'd send money to them, like in whatever state they lived in. Like, it's just such a mystery, and really, like, there's just no answer. It's one of those stories that just doesn't have, one of those mysteries, rather.
Imagine being the people that owned the property before and you sold it to these people. You didn't find it. That'd be devastating.
Reading about that in the paper, and you're like,
especially
you kidding?
if your wife had been like, honey, I think we should do some like an outdoor project where we build something, which would have meant like you had to like dig up the ground, which
excavate.
you'd have found it.
Yeah.
And you didn't do the project for whatever reason.
That would
divorce.
Be divorce. I mean,
or I wouldn't be able to live myself. I'd be devastated.
That would be crazy. But yeah, like we've said, finders keepers, losers weepers, right?
Weep.
Yeah. So, like I promised, the top of the episode, some stories about buried treasure. None of these stories were mysteries rather, were solved, unfortunately. So, like I said a few episodes ago, like that happens. Some of these stories I share with you are not solved, but it is fun to kind of theorize what happened. And I love getting the conversation going in the comments. So let us know your thoughts on all of the above.
And these are situations that treasures were found. Imagine the amount of other things today that are still buried.
That are currently underground. Like, what about like under our apartment right now, like in the earth below us, there's like buried treasure. And we just don't know. And meanwhile, we're sitting here talking about buried treasure while we're sitting on it. Like, who knows? Who knows? So, anyway, that being said, rest in peace to George.
Yeah.
I'm very sad for him, but I know that he was just doing the right thing, what he thought was right in the time, but goes to show you can't trust everybody. You really can't. You can't trust everybody. But it certainly was not his fault.
Ominous stare you gave me as you said that.
You got to be careful who you trust in this world, guys. Okay, I've got my. I'm always sleeping with one eye open. You never know.
Well, you know what happened if there's not an episode 4. Katie's intrusive thoughts
got the better of me.
Came true.
Or I didn't get a metal detector. Anyway, either way. Anyway, guys, that was it for episode 3 of Mystery for 2. Please give us 5 stars, follow us, subscribe, leave comments wherever you can. Be nice if you can, because I just know there's going to be some trolls. Like, I'm
good karma.
Preparing myself for that.
You might find yourself some gold coins.
Yeah, so
you're not going to find gold coins by being a hater. That just isn't going to happen.
So true. So true. You know? Life and fortune favors the bold and the nice people that leave nice comments and leave nice reviews.
The bold, the brave, and just be a nice person.
And just say something nice. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just cute emojis. They always work. So yeah, that is it for the episode, and we will talk to you guys all next week. Bye.
Cheers.
Another episode in the books.
Good work.
I had an eyelash in my eye.
Nice.